Hey everybody, welcome to our podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Doug.
And this is Walking Dead Cast episode 18, a little special episode between here. Unfortunately, Karen can't be with us today. She got it.
So this is Doug again filling in.
And Karen Dutch shuffling around somewhere, but we're going to see if we can round her up for the next episode.
Nice.
But Doug graciously agreed once again to fill in today. Thanks a lot, Doug. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so the unofficial New York. I'm glad to fill in. I love the podcast, loving Karen Jason, loving talking to all the cast.
And speaking of which, we're going to be talking to the main man today, Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes on Walking Dead. So we're totally excited about that. Obviously, we're going to just do a quick 10-minute interview with him. And yesterday I also took part in this roundtable conference call with some other bloggers and journalists. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for the second half of today's show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We're extremely excited to have Andrew Lincoln on today, who, as everyone knows, plays Rick Grimes on Walking Dead. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. It's great to be on here. I think you've done such a few of my fellow cast members.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How did you know that?
I've been informed, I see on the website.
Nice.
I think you Stephen the other week.
We did. Stephen was kind enough to give us a zombie sound to play for you.
That's it.
He said that's how he sounds when he wakes up in the morning. Let's get some questions. So the show is a huge success. You're on the cover of Entertainment Weekly with a bunch of zombies. How does that feel?
It's incredible. I mean, I think we keep sort of going on at the moment. We keep sort of pinging emails and chatting to each other, phoning all cast members. And even in our wildest dreams, we never envisaged this kind of reaction. We always hope that when you're making something, people will watch it. But I mean, this is better than the best case scenario. It's crazy. And we're all completely thrilled.
Cool. Yeah, us too. I'm really happy.
Good to have another show. Thank you.
So speaking of that cover, why you suppose that Rick keeps on wearing that police uniform?
Well, I think it always felt that it's a very, when part of it, I never kind of imagined, I was so flattered to get a part, and I was so excited about playing Rick, but for the first 2 weeks of my American debut, I didn't sort of bank on wearing boxer shorts and bare feet for most of the first 2 weeks of the shoot, so it was frankly a relief to get into his uniform at long run. I mean, I was so sold the gig as being kind of quite heroic to the top, and so it was, the full beard and boxer shorts, it wasn't my ideal sort of introduction into your country's great cinematic legacy. But I think it's something, I always thought when I read the comic book, I love the comic book, it's the equivalent of his, one of those versions of costume, isn't it? It's not Superman, he uses it as a sort of figurehead, he's a cop, and it's about, I suppose, trying to maintain some semblance of normality of the past, and also a very practical thing, people looking to him. You see a uniform, people in great distress and duress. If someone in a uniform, they do defer, and they do instantly see friends rather than foes. So I think on many levels he's using it to regain a part of itself that has been lost in this nightmare sort of day that he meets Morgan, of course. And then I think it's almost like a beacon to other humans that he meets.
Sure. So it seems that he doesn't let that uniform get in the way of what he does. He doesn't have to necessarily act like a cop. He can threaten people whenever he wants and sort of do whatever he wants for his own purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing that attracted me to the graphic novel, and I hope that we're achieving in the show, is this kind of seesawing of the moral dilemma. All the characters, no one's clear cut, and I think that the rules have changed irrevocably. The world has changed. So then all the characters are kind of making it up as they go along, and it just so happens that he's the guy that people are looking to. I don't think it was ever a conscious decision that he stepped forward from the rest of the guy. It was like the rest of the people took one step back and he left there going, oh, right, I'm the guy, right?
Yeah, he is.
So I think that kind of, I do think that certainly one of the great attractions about playing this part in this wild, crazy, tripped out world is the fact that they change continually, scene to scene. They have to keep adapting and evolving to the world that they're confronted with.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about the show is how you guys all made a point to have Rick acknowledge the former humanity of the zombies.
Yeah.
But also it's interesting because when he's in immediate danger, we all know what a great shot he is because he's just blowing them all away. So I'm wondering, is he getting jaded about their humanity or just doing what he needs to do?
I think it harks back to the question we just answered, that he is kind of making up their world as they go along. And the primary concern he has is his family, his family guy. And I suppose that's why a lot of the other characters in the group look at him, because they think actually he's looking for the sanctity and safety and protection and a future for his son and his wife. So that's where his moral center is. And initially, after the shock of what these monsters, these in part humans that are surrounding him, I think if his family are in direct threat, then all better off, man. It's like, that's the primary focus. But I do think that there is, I'm just thinking about the camp attack, and that's just a horrendous, brutal kind of scene. But then what happens afterwards is, in episode 5, is the reaction towards that, and the grief and the decision making they're going to have to, the camp is split about how, when do we kill our friends that have been, it throws out so many really interesting moral ideas and debates, and I think that the thing I was very concerned about all the actors and the crew is that we wanted to play as much reality as possible for all the characters react hopefully as the audience members would react as the which is in a very confused, different, individual way, which makes it even more powerful and compelling, hopefully.
And I would love to follow one of these lines of the conversation. One of I asked our listeners for questions, one was kind of interesting. She said she wondered if when in the first scene of the show when you and Shane are in the police car, do you think Rick would have minded if he knew that Shane was sneaking dipping his fries in Rick's ketchup?
we kind of about it, that's what always happens. I love it, but the great thing, particularly when we work with actors, as all of these actors are, is that, and when Frank has written this brilliantly spare scene, there's not much information to get in there, but all the information is beautifully drawn. There's hardly any dialogue, as we know in that opening 5 episodes. So we wanted this familiarity with one another, and you believe it's all of those moments of stealing chips, and we wanted to add a couple of other things with getting the Pepsi and the Coke, and we're going to have a moment when I'll be trying to that's a challenge, but it's all the stuff that we, and we work with actors that I'm fortunate enough to work with, they all have these kind of mad little moments which add to the personality, I suppose, and the history of these characters. And so that's spotted about TV Friday, but that's all kind of considered, because, that's the kind of director I'm working with, and the great director we're working with.
We know you've done a lot of British TV, so how do you like doing American TV, and sort of how you compare the experiences?
Well, it's been one of the great. It feels for me, this whole job is so like when I left drama school. It feels, because you guys know me, the US knows me from one film probably, and I've been working in England and Europe for 15 years now. So this is such a radically different part for me to play. It feels one of the most liberating and exciting experiences of my career. It feels like I'm starting again in a brand new world, and it's one heck of a part to get. And I'm working with some of the greatest people in the industry as well, which is incredible. The difference is scale. I mean, straight away, the scale of TV in your country is a lot bigger. Particularly when you're making something that is apocalyptic and has to be such a large scale, I suppose you need to back it up with budget and great detail. So but actually after a while, it feels very, very familiar, and everybody's trying to do the same thing. Everyone has the same jobs as over here. So after that, it becomes very familiar and very reassuring for that. But I'm having the time of my life in this role, and working with an incredible cast and an incredible crew on this. I mean, I always have to mention them because these guys it's punishing conditions out in Atlanta, and as you know, anyone knows the nature of the show is all public and outdoors. So the crew are spectacular every single man and woman, and we all cannot wait to get stuck into the second series. I can't wait.
One thing I really like about the crew is that all the ones that have been on our show so far have given us a zombie sound. Yes, please. That's very good. It's going to go on my zombie keyboard here. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Andrew. We very much appreciate it. It's
great. I love that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
look
forward to seeing you next season. Yep. Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, that was good. We're back after a really great interview. All right, thanks to Andrew Lincoln and publicist and MC. Yeah, nice. I hope we get a chance to talk to him for longer because I really did want to follow up on these questions and I just go, okay, thanks for that episode. We're cleaning up. Yeah, well, we were taking out of time. He's a busy guy, so I'm actually think he's a pretty stand-up guy. Really great for doing these podcasts and really reach out to fans that honestly that's what's been bringing highest rated people to the show. I think that's the fan potential is pretty huge. You make a quality show that appeals to a good segment of the audience and you're getting viewers. So speaking of that fan out, we're gonna move now to the segment that I actually taped yesterday with myself and other bloggers talking with Andrew, and then we'll wrap it up after that. So here goes.
I want to go ahead and turn the call over to Andrew Lincoln. Sir, you begin.
Hi there.
This is Jason from Walking Dead Casting. You guys hear me?
Hi, Jason.
Hey there, Andrew. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good.
I read that you were a little bit hesitant to do a Zombie Apocalypse show, but then you read the script and changed your mind. What about the script made you decide to do that?
I think it was a lot of reasons actually. I was moved by it. I sort of understood what I was trying to do by setting up this extraordinary environment, an extreme environment, and then when the human characters interact, you realize what's left. And you're I kind of anticipated it was going to be thrilling and scary, and but I didn't sort of anticipate that it was going to move me so much and also be so funny. So that combination, I think, of emotions only makes a really good drama.
Yep.
I mean, I think it was more of a story that really kept me in that pilot episode that made me realize why everybody's involved, why such extraordinary people were involved. Is that human series about dead people, maybe some opportunity to say something about what it is to be alive, and that really excited me.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Eric from Snowland. In the series, you are obviously the star, and with this
I was that. I'm video.
definitely, you focus my attention in many ways. But so the thing is, I mean, do you ever see your character as almost needing more? I mean, so many characters you've seen come and go, but how do you expect your character to be one that you can attach yourself to? How does that affect your performance?
I never see it as that really. You certainly can't play it as that because then you'd be second guessing the future. And I think that's really exciting about playing in this world, and one of the hopefully things that appeal to so many people is the fact that it is so in the moment so raw and so emotional because people are living sort of the second to second. I think that if I ever had an inherent sense of that this life is impenetrable, it would change anyone's way about playing. He's not a superhero. He's an ordinary guy in this extraordinary world, and that's one of the appeals for me to play him was that he isn't the two-dimensional. It's a superhero. He's just an ordinary guy, and he's just trying to do right by his family. So I mean, I do think that you have the thing I love about all the performances in the season is that everybody is so damn good. I mean, they're one of the strongest ensembles I've ever had the privilege to work with, and hopefully one of the great things that's going to keep people watching the show is the fact that the camera pans onto somebody that's not even spoken, and they kind of break your heart. So it's a double-edged sword. Obviously, you want an audience to have a loyalty and care about characters, and it will be as difficult as it is for us to say goodbye to certain characters. We find it just everybody was kind of grieving when we lost, three very important characters in episode 5, So you imagine that the audience is going to feel that as well. But I also think that's what's attractive about the show. This is raw, grungy, brutal world inhabited by these ordinary people, but there's some dignity in their sort of everydayness. Thank you.
Hey, Andrew, this is Julie Guy from Fancast.com.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
Nice to thank you for being online.
So I have a question for you. Earlier today, I'm not sure if you read about it, but there was a report that Frank Darabont had gotten rid of the entire writing staff, and it's going to be using freelance writing staff for next season. I'm wondering if you, heard about that, and do you have any thoughts on what that means for the second season of the show?
Well, I didn't know that actually, and I only found out about it half an hour ago while I was doing interviews, and I know nothing about it, and I think probably, I'm not like a super frankly. All I know is that I love Frank and I trust him implicitly.
How much do you know about what's going to happen with the second season?
I know nothing. I wish I could, believe me, if I could, I'm as excited as everybody else to find out where, what, and how we're going to survive this zombie apocalypse.
Is there anything you can keep, coming up with the video in the finale?
I would just say don't, as always with the show, don't get too comfortable. Things are not as they seem.
Right, never.
Just talking about when the shows are sorted, it was a full 6 episode order, but there was obviously never, obviously the shows were successful, there was never a true guarantee that we could ever second season. So what if the success plays out, would you be able to make the first entire season stand on its own?
What exactly do you mean?
As in, like, if the show wasn't as successful as it was and had gotten canceled, would the season finale be able to wrap it up?
I think that if you are familiar with the comic book series, and also what Kirkman's hopes for the comic book series, is that he never wanted to end. The whole point of it is incidental. It's not about, he always said he wanted to write about what happened after the end credits of the zombie movie, what happens now. And I think that is one of the appeals of the comic book series, is that it gives no finite answers or solutions to the situation. It's more about how these people adapt and how it changes them over time. And that's what makes the compelling nature of the graphic novel, and hopefully that's been translated into film. So I think it's probably extremely faithful to the tone and the intention of the graphic novel. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Wagner again. I was wondering, I was asking before, about what do you think about the rest of the show? Is it successfully surprised by that, or were you expecting it?
No, I've been I'm wise enough now to know that you can work on something, but your heart's on something, and you can just miss the boat. You may have done some extraordinary work and some great writing, and it just doesn't quite catch fire. I'm lucky enough to be involved in a couple of things back in home England that are just caught almost like zeitgeist. This one was just felt like it was so different to anything I've ever read before. It always felt like it was a bit of a gamble because, it was zombie survival horror. I always knew that the caliber of the people was so good that that was the reason I said, yeah, okay, I trust you. I trust Frank. I'm a huge admirer of AMC's work, and so let's give it a go. And then while we're filming it, because I was involved in so much of it and saw so much of the filming, I started to get excited because there was some incredible work going on and some really different scenes and unusual stuff. And you always hope that people, as I said before, get what you're trying to. You always hope that it translates into the final product, what you're trying to do. And in this case, because I think Frank was so good and his vision was so clear, that was, Gail and everyone that encouraged their convictions in AMC to let it breathe, this series, which I think is evident in a lot of episodes. They let the audience come to the show rather than go out of the audience. I think that we were confident we had something unusual, but you never can second guess an audience's reaction. I think that, we're just so thrilled. We're just absolutely thrilled that people are getting it and are investing in it and are caring about characters and, watching it. Thank you.
Hey, it's Julie again. There's an episode where you guys are hacking up a zombie and you're really unveiled this sort of necklace. And wondering if you were sort of surprised that something before that made it onto the air, or if there were any other...
Yeah, that was the one I actually said earlier in the interview that we filmed at 4:30 in the morning. Just because it'd been a long day and we had to get a shot, and it felt like we were doing something incredibly wrong. It was like swinging cars to the Demon Barber, and I looked at Greg McCarran, and while I was chopping up his pocket, I just expected DVD, he nodded, yeah. And this is a guy who's not unaccustomed to law, and then I saw the scene, and it was all in there, and it was astonishing. And in one sense, it is like nothing else out there. It's so grotesque and so brilliant because of that, because the scene is so brilliantly written, because you have a man just about to chop up a human being, or forgetting that it's a human being, then reminding everybody that it's a human being, and we should remain, our integrity is, it should remain that a human being. And then he says, you've got a great gag, which is, he's also done that, which I frankly is a brilliant gag. And then, it's so anchored an important plot device for them to save their lives. But it's brilliant. It's kind of an extraordinary coup, and I know that Frank was extremely excited when he saw it. He just completely saw it. There's nothing else like this, and I think that was, in one sense, it's great that they didn't pull any punches with the brutality of it, because you understand it
most reasonable something like that did make it on the air, then what's going to wind up on the DVD?
I mean, I'd like to see what the DVD goes. There are some extraordinary. I mean, every day I went to work, I would make something that I know will never be done again. It felt like we were cinematic first. Every single day we went to work. It was extraordinary.
Is there anything specific that you remember shooting that hasn't made it there that you think might have been?
I don't actually watch the episode, so I don't really know what it made. I mean, I asked you the question. There was a scene in a camp where Carol, played by the extraordinary actress called Melissa, is pickaxing her husband. Did that make it?
Yeah.
What we did, low shot, so you actually pickaxing into his head.
And you see the blood splatter onto the camera.
That was a moment in the shoot, and I think we all had so much Atlanta heat. We were in trying to get some semblance of, shade, and we were all in the van, Dale's. And I looked, and I think I was probably delirious from the heat, and I went, is it me, or is that really, really bad? I think everyone just went, was looking with their hands over their mouths, and I think because the acting was so sweet, I mean, she was breaking down. And I think that's why it stayed, because Melissa's performance was so extraordinary. Because she's a victim of domestic abuse, weeping, while she puts her husband out of misery, turning into a zombie. I mean, it's an extraordinary thing. Like nothing else that will ever be, probably.
So why don't you watch the episodes as they air, just out of curiosity?
I don't watch myself. I don't find it, I haven't watched myself for a long time. It's just something, I just don't do it.
The tone differences in the show are interesting to me. There's this, everybody's very emotionally grounded, and it's very serious and human, but there are these moments like you mentioned with the organ donor and psych to the head that feel like, okay, there's a bit of a naughty, like, gag, laugh-getting thing going on at the same time. What do you think about that?
I certainly think that it's one of the character pleasures of the genre, is that if you can ground it, if you can make people buy the world, then you can push the envelope. And I think that's one of the exciting, one of the titillating things about the show. And I think that it certainly is, when people came on set that hadn't been involved in it, when new characters came on set, they quickly realised the extreme nature of the show. They were very, very excited by it, because, for obvious reasons, you can get some great jokes. I mean, I'm one of these people who believes you can't be divided for someone to fit through an emotional barrage without somebody being alleviated by humour or joy or wit, or, if it was unremittingly bleak, it wouldn't work. In the same way that all the drama has to have melody and different colours. And I think that it's a very, very important part of the show, that the humour becomes gallows humour of the show. And if I was a viewer, it was really a bit that was, I really had to bow at the altar of Darabont, because there's a scene in the opening, in the pilot episode, where I'm leaving the house with Morgan and his son, and I have a baseball bat, and we had a scene, we shot it in a very conventional way with a steady cam, and we did the scene, and then I beat this walker, and then we could move on, and it's my first scene and kill, as it were. And when I realised that Frank didn't have that scene, he used a wide shot, because it was this suburban house with a picket fence, and there was a zombie lying down, and it made me giggle, because I just thought, that's so mad, and such incongruous kind of vision, but that says so much about Frank and his sense of humour, and the symbolism of it, kind of, apparently safe haven of domesticity, and yet there's a zombie at the gate. And I think that's when I realised, we've got such a good captain of the ship, because he's got that wit. I found it extremely witty. It's just after a very emotional scene. I think that's when we realise whoever in charge has got a very, very deft likeness of touch, which I think is absolutely essential for this subject matter.
You mentioned a minute ago that 3 of the important characters just died, and I actually been noticing that it almost seemed deliberate that the zombies weren't actually shown killing anybody for the first 3 episodes. The 4th episode is the first time you see a zombie kill somebody, and I'm wondering, were you concerned that maybe people who got attached to these characters might get turned off from the show when it happened?
No, I don't think I was. I think that the further we went on in the shoot, the more. I mean, if you know the graphic novel, then you'll know that the characters have, for want of a better expression, a sort of quite brief shelf life. I mean, it's one of the coups, I think, of the writing of the graphic novel is that it means that no one is safe. It means that anybody is, in the same way that in the graphic novel, my character loses his hand, is that nobody is safe. I think it's very important. I think if you trust the writing and you trust, I think that it's probably structured very cleverly. You're right. In most of the first very brutal zombie kill, it's the first time you see the predatory nature en masse. You see it with a horse, and so you get a sense of the danger, but it's the first human. So I think that it's incredibly double sort of blow. I think that you lose these incredibly good characters, and also you see the truth. I mean, also the other thing very much, it's just after a scene of levity, and first time it's almost like a collective sigh, with fish, weaving at a camp, and probably that's why they attack, because they're guarded down somewhat. I mean, it is just an incredibly shocking plot twist, and we all felt it on set. We didn't want to lose them. They didn't want to. We had to have incredible fun on the ship. They loved it. It's one of those great shoots. You band together, and it was very sad. We had dinner. We had to sell dinner for people, and we just set a precedent that if it goes to the second season, when we lose something, we have a meal. We got family staff and stuff.
Did you all know from the beginning who would be gone by the end of the first season?
No, we didn't. It was always quite a tense time when the new script came through, for obvious reasons. So it's one of those jobs. It's one of those jobs where anybody can buy it at any time, and people want to live. It was very shocking. But to your original question, I think that we never once doubted that it would stop people from watching. I think any powerful scene, any dramatic scene, in my experience of watching film and television, has never stopped turning away from it. It engrossed me more.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last episode had the highest rating, so I think you're right.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, I've never been involved in a show that's gone more than its premiere in 5 episodes. I mean, it's astonishing. But I think that's nice because you guys have been so positive and supportive as well, so we all thank you.
But Andrew, what do you think Chris going to do when he finds out about love trying to go with his partner in his life?
Will you ever find out? That's a good question.
Okay.
That's an option. There's feasibly a situation where there are many, many ways of dealing with such a painful situation. I think denial is a particularly useful human attribute. I know that you guys have used denial many times in my life. It's served quite well. I mean, the obvious way to go would be to get for conflict, but I don't necessarily think we're in an obvious show.
Right.
I mean, I think that the beauty of the way that John is playing Shane and Sarah is another phase. It's really well that they're the greatest of friends. They love one another. And I do think that the painfulness of the thing that has happened and how they've had to, the emotional turbulence of those two characters. I don't necessarily think Rick is that into anything to do with it. I don't think he's necessarily aware as yet of something indiscretion or infidelity. So for me, it's a much simpler journey. But obviously, in season 2, I think that it could get more and more complicated and for that self more satisfying to play. But I wouldn't second guess what Frank is going to do.
Right.
Well, I know because Frank Darabont is down and AMC and they've served as well so far.
All right.
All right, I think we're done.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope we can do it again maybe this time next year.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks.
Bye, Andrew.
Have a good day.
All right, that's our show, episode 18. Look for another episode coming in about a day or so, and then we'll do our final episode for the season. But anyway, I just want to express again how great I was talking to Andrew, and thank you again for coming on. Thank you, Andrew. Oh yeah, and I just want to thank you again. Thanks a lot for doing that. Totally appreciate your interviewer. Thank you. I'm glad to fill in for the unofficial interviewer on the Mock Day podcast. So I want to bring up this thing that's been in the news. I don't know if it's as big a news story as people are making it up. You're not, but apparently Frank Darabont, as you may have heard, has, and this is all here, fired all the writers of The Walking Dead, and we'll move to not having a writing staff, and instead just having people hired per episode basis or something like that. Yeah, so first thing we should mention, it is rumor at this point that AMC and Frank hadn't confirmed this directly. That the statement I heard was that they're talking about making changes to writing staff, but like what the show doesn't. So that's literally saying anything. But the rumor definitely was that pretty much everyone got canned. They're just going to go meeting like the power writing staff. So I guess first, does it make sense sense. Why would they require right after the most popular cable TV show?
After it's done so well,
right,
music ratings and everything.
Right. I mean,
let's change all around.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to say I had tools with the story and the logic, and one can do this, as a fanboy for any show, right? That you're really into it, and you're really interested in the show and how it goes. So if you see things, that don't seem right, it really gets you. But in all honesty, this show is better than at least 99% of the stuff on TV. So I don't think there's anything that.
Modern Family is way better. I want to read this a response from one of our friends and fans, Grace, who wrote about this. She says, "Well, after talking to people and looking at who's credited, the potential action seems only to amount to 2 people who were in for the season: Charles H. Hagley, who's also an executive producer, right? I think he is, and Jack Loguici, who are both credited along with their Bond for Filthy Frogs. That made me feel more at ease. Also, perform points in mind. Said this quote: the episode I can see the upside I can see to this is that he may be able to bring in more quality writers since they have limited commitments, say 1 or 2 episodes, as opposed to actually being employed of the show. You have a better chance of getting an Oscar or any winning screenwriter in a limited commitment situation rather than bringing them on staff and being locked in for 9 months. The show makes sense.
Well, I mean, that would be great, but I mean, there's stuff that's writing staff. Continuity is a big thing. Being able to set the tone of the show that presumably they're going to be able to hire top talent and having those on staff working. Even though they mentioned a couple of credited, but right, really have staff. I think about 15 people or something like that. That's a lot of people. I'm sure they're all involved. But certainly, I think one of them writes stuff right, and then it comes to the writing room and they guide around and really work over. I think it is.
But you can feel that Frank is the main guy.
Well, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he definitely does. But all of the writers are also contributing, and I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of this unknowns.
Yeah, we'll see. I just want to talk about it because it was so big in the news.
I will have to say, and then people can cool about this, but there's definitely some continuity and logical issues with the show. I mean, we're not going to say this thing is perfect in regard, but I have to say there are probably more quibbles than anything else. That,
I think so.
there's
everything I've seen has been completely forgivable, considering how good the show is, it's on the show and everything.
I mean, we have to remember guys TV. I mean, it's not like just this on it, but
The Lost was way more effed up.
yeah, and just like every other, sort of, would you call it science fiction? No, yeah, you can always talk about the logic and plot issues, but as I do not think all of the show the writing was just horrible. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see again how this actually falls out in the coming months. Well, the next season, how this actually.
I was glad to hear Andrew Lincoln say in the roundtable that he trusts Frank, and so I'm gonna go ahead and with like feelings of where he trusts him as well. And I really think that the second season's gonna be awesome no matter how this shakes out. I hope so anyway.
Yeah, well, I do too. I don't get the idea that that the quality is going to go down. It's probably going to go up.
That'd be cool. Okay, I think that's pretty good summary on thoughts on that. So if you want to add to that or just talk to us about the show or anything else, you can call us at email us at brains@walkingdeadcast.com. You can call us at 650-485-DEAD. That's 650-485-3333. You can go to our website walkingdeadcast.com in comments or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/CaseyandKaren. All right, that's our show. Okay. All right, that's our show. All right, that's our that's the line. Michael, enter Michael. I have to put this together today. All right, that's our show. Come on.
It's hard to remember now, but the internet used to be fun.
I can't believe how easy it is to surf the net. There's a
On Launch Shadow, Breaking the Internet, we'll face how a tool that once fueled democracy.
Opposition activists organized on Facebook.
Became a weapon at the very heart of it.
You're watching the unraveling of our democracy right now.
From Longlead and TRS, this is Launch Shadow, Breaking the Internet. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Rick Beck. And I'm Royce Yepov. Welcome to our Track Talking podcast from Harvard Business School. Think big, buy small. This series lets you in on a special way to become an entrepreneur. How to buy your own business, be your own boss, and get financial benefits of your efforts. Entrepreneurship through acquisition involves searching for existing, enduringly profitable, smaller business and buying it, usually from a retiring founder.
Back for a brand new season, our conversations with guests from all backgrounds and different stages of the entrepreneurship through acquisition journey. From those considering whether this path is right for them, all the way through to those who have sold the business they bought as searchers and then ran as CEOs. Thousands of smaller firms are sold every year, and many people have successfully acquired an existing business that is enduringly profitable. So why not you too?
We've been helping students